Okay, so let's start with this intro that Joe Pass plays over the Duke Ellington tune, Satin Doll. We start off with these D minor chords. So the key of this song is C major. We're going to be using a D Dorian sound. All of this outlines the D Dorian mode. We have a D minor with the 11th on the top, the 9 on the top. We have another D minor 11th, but this time with the flat 7 on the top, the C note, and then another D minor 9 chord, or you can think of this as an F major 7th chord also. So that's our 2 chord, the D minor. Then we have our 5 chord, which is G. It's a G13. And then we alter that G13. So it becomes a G flat 9. Then we resolve to the 1 chord, the C major 7th. So at this point, we're going to go up to the 4 chord, F, and Joe Pass just takes these down in whole steps. Really nice resolution to get back to C. So F, E flat, D flat, and then to C. So far we have this next little part basically I think of them as minor 7th chords. So F sharp, F to E minor 7th, and we're going to be going into an A 7th chord right there. So we've got so that last part is basically an E minor 7th to an A 7th. That's going to line us back up to get to the beginning of the song, where the A section actually starts, which is a D minor 7th chord. All this is just 2/5 in the key of C. He's just going back and forth between a D minor and a G7 or G13. Then we go up a whole step and do the same thing, but a little different as far as chord voicings go. So he goes to the A13 first this time. And then changes it back to basically an E minor 9. Now that's a really cool little move he does where he's altering that A 7th chord. It's going to get us to A minor, our next chord. Okay. Now this next part, in the original song, it's like an A minor to D 7th, but he plays this big D 7th chord or D 9 chord right off the bat. And then he goes to A minor. Cool little voice leading there. So this is just an A minor 7th to a D7. So another 2/5. Right there, we have an A flat minor to a D flat 7. So this is another 2/5-1, or just 2/5, down a half step. We resolve to C. Then he has some passing chords, keeping that G up top. We have the F9, B flat 13. You can really think of these a couple of different ways. You can think of them as an F9, or you can think of it as a B7 altered. This is like an E7 or a B flat 7. And this one can be an A7 or a D flat 7. Either way, they're going to get you back to the D minor, which is the second A section. So after that, he just repeats the same A section as before, but then the ending changes a little bit. So instead of doing those chords, he's going to play some licks that are going to get us into the B section. So after the second time through, so this is a cool little lick that starts off with C, basically a C major chord, and then it's walking up, and then he encloses a G, some trills, and resolves it. Now this middle section, the bridge, is a 2/5-1 to F, so it's a G minor to C7 to F, and he plays this. That's part of your C7 chord or C13. And then enclosing the 3 of F. You can see the little F major triad chord right there. Cool little F major lick, basically from the 4, walking up to the 5th of the chord. Okay, you can kind of think of that as like an F major lick or a D minor lick as well. So we've got this next part, we're going to do a 2/5 in the key of G. We have A minor to D. So this part right here, we have the same voicing that we were using previously in the song for D. It's like a minor 11. And we're walking down the scale. So walking down an A Dorian mode or a G major scale. There's your 5 chord. That's part of a D9 chord. Then we walk back up. And the second time, he just bars all the way down. So it's like a minor 7th or you can think of it as a D sus also. And then we get to D minor. Really cool little triad movement right here. So it's another 2/5, D minor to G7. In this case, he's just doing a D minor 7th and then a G triad. And then he does an E7. I'm thinking of it as an E7, like an E7 sharp 9. And right there, he's going to A. Okay, so E7 to A7. And again, that's going to lead us back to D minor for our final A section. So at this point, he starts off the same way as before on the previous A section. But then he throws in these cool little chords again, basically the same ones from the intro, but starting on the D minor 9. There's that G7, kind of slides up afterwards. And then we have the E minor. Same as before, but then he does this. He's basically playing what he did for the D minor, but for E minor now. And it's a little bit different. So he's doing 8th notes this time, so it's really quick. Then he has basically doing that same move as before. And that's getting us to our A minor chord. That's that E minor 9 with the 11 on top. Or you can think about it as an A sus. A7 altered. Then there's your A minor. Now this part's really cool. So he does that D7 again, but this time it's a D13 with the D on the top. And he goes up a half step to get the next melody note. He's just not barring all the way down. So it's same shape, but you're only hitting 3 strings the second time. Then back to the same A flat minor to D flat. Okay, and then that is the end of the melody or the head of the tune. After that, he takes a solo. The whole band goes through solos. They do a bunch of stuff. And then we come to the last part of the song where they play the melody again. And then he has a little outro lick. So I transcribed the outro lick as well. And it goes like this. So he starts off enclosing notes of a C chord, just the G to C, G, C. So he's enclosing that. Same thing right here. By a whole step above and then jumping to a half step below. Then he has this cool little lick. It's basically, I kind of think of it, you can think of it as like a altered, G7 altered to C or like an F minor to C. So then he has another lick right here. Still kind of sounds like a F minor to me. I think he was kind of thinking of a C to F minor, so like a 1 to a minor 4 when he was playing this. At least that's what I'm thinking of it as whenever I'm playing it. Resolves on that G, the 5 of C. So, and then he plays some typical kind of blues licks here. So that's a very cool little blues lick. Basically, if you've ever played any blues guitar, you're probably familiar with these 6 shapes. So that's what he's doing here. And he slides that C up to the 3rd.